Clerk, do we have a quorum? Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, we are here today, April 22nd, with the Department of Public Safety to provide an update on the recent authorization to renew the sound thinking ShotSpotter contract that the administration undertook. They will also provide us an update on the implementation and status of our nuisance law. So, Director, would you please come to the table with your team? And I don't know if you have any handouts or PowerPoint. Yes, you do. Okay. That's on the nuisance. Okay. So we'll jump into the ShotSpotter issue. As most members know, the ShotSpotter system was in effect. Please correct me, Director, if I'm incorrect. Started initially at 3 square miles in the city, primarily on the east side. Then it was expanded to 13 square miles. The contract was up with ShotSpotter in April, correct?
That's correct.
And the administration extended it for another year. The concern that we had in council is that there, before they decided to extend the contract, there had been no discussion with the council president, nor myself, nor members of council. And so what we're trying to understand today, and would like to understand the rationale to extend the ShotSpotter contract and to give us and present to us any data or information you have as to its effectiveness. In the past, we had contracted with CSU to give us a report on ShotSpotter. The report was presented to City Council here at the table not that long ago, and they indicated both where they thought it was effective and where, and also indicated that there was no way they could measure whether or not it reduced criminal activity in the city. That's correct.
Through the chair, that's correct.
You're right. So at this point, Director and Assistant Director, you have your opportunity to present to us why you decided to extend ShotSpotter for another year. And the dollar amount associated with that, Director, was how much?
Give me a second here, please.
Yes, thank you. Take your time.
The amount of the extension of the contract is $853,340.
Okay. Okay. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Safety Chair Polensek and other council members. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to come to the table and talk about our decisions to extend the gunshot detection technology through sound thinking or ShotSpotter. Cleveland needs gunshot detection technology to keep our residents and visitors safe. I want to start by saying that. That's important. We've had the technology, as you stated, since 2020. It started in District 4 as a pilot program covering approximately 3 miles. And that was based on data that was collected with the commander and our crime analysts at that particular time, including calls for shots fired, as well as homicides and felonious assault shootings are not fatals, and other data points. Based on that data set, the decision was made to implement the gunshot detection technology in the 3 square miles, which were the most violent areas within the 3rd district.
Just a point.
I'm sorry, the District 4.
Yeah, District 4. Do you have the dollar amount with the original? Do we know what the original dollar amount was for ShotSpotter?
Through the chair, I don't. I only
Okay.
have the amount for the extension.
Okay.
But I can get that
Yeah.
from my staff to get
Thank
you
you.
the original amount.
Thank you, Director.
Actually, actually. Here it is. I found it actually. That's not it. I'll get you.
Okay,
To get you.
thank you.
I apologize for that.
That's all right.
I don't have
For point of information, according to the contract, it was $2,780,500.
Counselor, would you say that again, please?
$2,758,500.
So 2 million,
$2,758,500. Ordinance 909, 2022.
okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, continue, Director.
As stated before, we need gunshot detection technology, and to assist our officers as an additional tool to keep our residents safe, and also as stated, as a tool to assist our detectives, our officers, in solving crimes in our neighborhoods. We know that this technology has aided our detectives, integrated with our real-time crime center, to identify suspects, subjects involved in shooting individuals in our community and holding them responsible. We also know that this technology gives our officers, once they receive an alert, the ability to go to the specific area of the shot or shots that were fired. Historically, in the city of Cleveland, folks really don't call when they hear shots. It could be for various reasons, a variety of reasons. We know that if someone does call for shots fired, unless it's happening right in front of them, they don't have a precise location to convey to our dispatchers of where the shots are coming from. You know, it could be a shot from around a corner. It could be several blocks away, as you articulated, Councilman Polensik, not too long ago at one of our meetings, where you heard a shot and it was several blocks away from you.
Yeah.
So with this technology, it gives our office, again, a very finite area to look for potential evidence or potential victims. And in several cases, our officers responded to alerts where we did not receive a subsequent 911 call and located victims of gunshot wounds, and were able to administer first aid until EMS arrived. We believe that that aided in the survivability of gunshot victims. So the gunshot detection technology is extremely important as a tool for our officers and detectives in the city of Cleveland. That's the primary reason why we went to the Board of Control, and I say we, myself, from the Department of Public Safety, my team. I presented it at the Board of Control,
Right.
as you know, on April 8th to extend the contract. The contract was set to expire April of this year. We did not want to have no coverage whatsoever. So this was a software, and it is, the technology is a software, and I was able to, based on the section of the charter, the ordinances, to extend the contract, because it is a software contract, and we've extended software contracts for other softwares through the same provisions in the ordinance.
Yeah, okay. I mean, part of I think the rub here was that there was no communication prior to the extension of the contract with ShotSpotter, and then we've had that whole ongoing, I don't even know if you want to call it controversy or debate, whether Flock was going to be expanded or a new system was going to come into the city. So based on your testimony here at the table today, you totally believe that the expansion of ShotSpotter, or not the expansion, to extend the contract for another year, will significantly help the division of police?
First, I want to address two things. I'll answer the second part last. The I take the onus and the responsibility for not talking to you specifically, Safety Chair, as well as President Griffin, for not talking to you and letting you know that I was going to go to the Board of Control to extend the contract. I take that on me. I should have come to you and also Council President, and that will not happen again. We've talked, and we talk weekly, and I should have conferred with you with that. So
We talked that the day before.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, so that's on me. Those are my apologies, and to come to the table here and let you know that will not happen. And I've stated that before. I've stated it publicly, and I'm going to state it again publicly that I will not do that again. You will have prior knowledge of it. Now, the second point, do I think you asked if it was going to be significantly help us? It helps us on a consistent basis. When I say it, that being the gunshot detection technology, it helps our detectives. As a matter of fact, as I was preparing for this hearing, I talked with the Division of Police, and I wanted them to give me just specific situations where the technology aided our officers in solving crimes, and they sent me a couple of these situations. For example, this year, February 14th of this year, over on the west side of Cleveland, by Berea Road, there were shots fired, approximately 102 shots. Rounds were.
By the way, can everybody hear the director? Okay.
She
Be a little louder, director. Little louder. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
How's this? It's a little better?
There we go.
All right.
That's
So, on February 14th of this year, February 14th of this year on the west side, there was approximately about 100 rounds were discharged, and we had multiple ShotSpotter alerts. Came into a short period, within a short period of time, and if you know the technology and how it works, the technology detects the gunshots. It goes to ShotSpotter or Sound Thinking, and their analysts and their folks analyze it, and then once it's analyzed, then it's sent to our folks in the zone car and our dispatchers, and that happens within about 60 seconds. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'll be corrected. So it happens relatively fast. So that information goes to our officers. They respond because shots fired are Code 1 assignments. It's the highest priority for the Division of Police. They responded to that area based on everything was done when they got there. No suspects or anything like that, but our officers were able to locate evidence, shell casings and so forth, and coupled with our real-time crime center and our investigations from our detectives, able to locate videos, locate vehicles, identify suspects, and ultimately through really diligent work from our detectives, identify its subject in that incident. I wish I could show you the video that our detectives were able to obtain for this, to see these individuals, several, shooting the rounds at each other. One of them had what we believe had an automatic weapon. To see him discharging an automatic weapon just casually down the street was really trouble. It was troubling to watch. But anyway, with all that said, again, it was because the alert of the ShotSpotter alert or the gunshot detection alert, our officers responded, was able to get information, take the evidence that was submitted, that they gathered at the scene, give that to our Crime Gun Intelligence Center, where they analyzed the shell casings, gave information to our detectives, and they're working with the Real-Time Crime Center, identify individuals and get them arrested. So those are just one specific incident where our technology through the gunshot detection technology, coupled with our Real-Time Crime Center, and also our CGIC, which is our Crime Gun Intelligence Center, was able to use the technology to find a suspect and hold them responsible for discharging weapons in our community.
Okay. At present, give us some parameters, or if you have a map what area right now is covered by ShotSpotter, the 13 square miles?
Through the chair, I don't have that. I should have brought a map with me,
Okay.
Unless Jason has it with him. Assistant Director Shackner, I do not have it. It is 13 square miles, primarily on the east side, as you mentioned.
Right.
It's primarily on the east side. 4th District started. We expanded a couple more miles in the 4th District. It's in the 5th District, 3rd District, and 3rd District, and the 1st District, I believe, and that borders the 2nd.
Okay, so
Through the chair,
we're going to make that request that we get a map.
If you look at the CSU report on page 39 of the CSU report has a map of
does,
the coverage
okay.
area. And I would just add to the director's comments about it cannot be overstated how valuable gunshot detection technology is in being able to gather shell casings and that type of evidence due to how difficult it is for the average person who is calling 911 unless they're observing the actual shots fired. If they only hear it, to pinpoint where those shots are coming from. And this technology could pinpoint where it is, and gathering those shell casings, we could put them into NIBIN, which is the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, and be able to link that firearm to other crimes. And then when that person or that is when that firearm is recovered and can be connected to a person, we can link back to prior events and pursue indictments. Just like that case that the director is currently, director just spoke about. Those cases were collected. We were able to later link that to a person with that firearm to be able to go back to find other crimes that may have been committed with that firearm.
But you're also aware, Assistant Safety Director, that part of in the research that CSU did, and what we have learned from ourselves, is that why a lot of residents are not calling CPD because they don't believe they're going to come or they don't come. And so that's been an ongoing challenge for us in our neighborhoods, and I hear that all the time. We call the police and they don't come. The other part of that equation was, again, what I thought the CSU report was fair, that they indicated there was they could not make any measurable connection to a decrease in criminal activity. And the other factor that they raised, which was of concern to us, that as a result of this being a ShotSpotter call or pickup, however you want to describe it, alert, you dispatch a car to that, and then many times when the car arrives, there's nothing there. So that takes a quote-unquote a first responder car out of service when they could be running to another call. So we're trying to be, we want to be transparent, we want to be fair, we want to make sure that when we're allocating another $853,000, we want to make sure that we're having not only an impact on criminal activity, but we're also being mindful of the cost associated with this. And now, on that point, the 853, where did that come out of? Was that out of your general operating?
Through the chair, we talked with finance. Part of it did come out of our Department of Public Safety, and finance was able to find the additional dollars.
So, so we're going to ask you to tell us, again, where that came from. Provide that to us specifically.
Yes.
Thank you.
And through
Go ahead.
through the chair, in terms of crime prevention, fingerprints and DNA doesn't prevent or reduce criminal activity either,
Okay.
but it helps us solve crimes. And when we're able to solve crimes and find the people who committed them and bring them to justice, take them off the streets, that will prevent crime later. In terms of your other comment about reducing priority 2 calls, for the CSU report, that was based on survey data. They made an inference that suggests that it may possibly, because there'll be more priority 1 calls, therefore it's logical that other type level of calls would take longer, but that was just a suggestion. I mean, a lot of things cause those calls to not to take longer. De-escalation makes it take longer. Domestic violence calls where an arrest by state law has to be made. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So the CSU report did not say that ShotSpotter calls caused other calls to go unheard. It was based on survey data and suggestions.
And also, if I can add to the Assistant Director Shackner's point, we believe, and Division of Police will tell you as well, that the technology helps us solve crimes. And as I just stated before, it helps us solve crime, which I believe will also lead to a reduction in crime. Our homicide rates right now, we're approximately, I believe, 26 and homicides right now, 26, 27, sorry, don't have the exact numbers, should have in front of me right now for 2026. Our homicide solve rate is approximately 79%, almost 80%. And I believe that that's through the technology that we have, part of it, hard-nosed detective work, and part of the technology they have in place, the gunshot detection technology, coupled with our license plate readers, our real-time crime center, NIBIN, the CGIC, which is our crime gun intelligence center. All those play into our detectives in our homicide unit having a 79% or 80%, almost 80% solve rate, and that's because of the technology. So it is extremely important, this technology, and the work that our officers and detectives are doing. It aids them to solve crimes, which in effect reduces crime.
Okay. Any other additional comments before I call upon my colleagues for questions? Anything else you want to add? Okay, I'm going to start.
Yeah, if I can, real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead.
Yeah, and also, with Mayor Bibb, he stressed and he continues to stress, that this is a data-driven approach to us solving crimes, reducing crime, and so forth. And we deploy our resources based on data, and that's what we did here relative to the ShotSpotter or the gunshot detection technology. It's based on data. And we'll continue to do that. We hope that we have full support of council and make sure we give our officers and the Division of Police all the tools necessary to be effective.
Well, Director, I can only tell you this. Everything you've asked for, we've given you, and you know that. We allocated 180 we allocated funding for 180 police officers last year. We didn't get there. We allocated 180 funds to hire 180 officers this year, and it remains to be seen if we're going to get there. We allocated the funds for the body cams. We allocated the funds for the dash cams. We allocated all the funds needed to upgrade the Division of Police. So I will tell you, from our side of this table, we have given you everything you needed, and again, it was the council who pushed for the body cams and dash cams, as you know. We gave you the drones. So we've been very supportive, but we want to make sure, again, the dollars that we are allocating are going to be properly spent and have the impact that we want them to have. So at this point, I have Vice Chair, Councilman Starr, Councilman Jones. Yes, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Dean,
Okay.
as well as the department for coming here to discuss this
Okay.
important
Okay.
topic.
Okay.
And which makes things so important is I'm not going to start off or talking about whether I'm for or against ShotSpotter. But one of the things that is very important is the reason why we have things in place, and finding loopholes do not sit well with me. And what I mean by that is, obviously, anything contract over $50,000 has to go through the legislative process and get the approval of council. And based on just trying to get common knowledge of what has happened, so we renewed a contract for worth $850,000, correct? To the chair?
Yep.
Through the chair to Councilman Starr, that's correct, $853,000.
$853,000. When did this contract with ShotSpotter actually end?
Through the chair, the actual contract was kind of a two-part. The contract for the first 3 square miles ended in the end of 2025, but the ShotSpotter and their folks from Sound Think were really gracious and continued with the coverage. the next 10 miles, square miles that was on the contract expired or were set to expire April of this year. So that's why we felt it was really important that we continue the coverage based on the things I stated before.
Was there a specific day in April? Do we know what that day was?
Through the chair, we can get that for you, but there's a specific date,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah, so we knew that we had the first two-phase part of this contract. We had one that was ending in 2025, then we had the other phase that was ending in 2026. And I believe the first part was when we enter into the trial period where we had ShotSpotter in different areas, only in certain specific areas. And then the one that ended in 2026 is the one that covered almost all of our police areas coverages for all 5th districts, correct?
Through the chair to Councilman Stark, the original contract with ShotSpotter was in, I believe, 2020, and it was a pilot program, and it was coverage 3 miles, square miles in the 4th district. That's where the program started. It expanded upon in, I believe, 2023. I could be wrong, maybe 2022. Extended the contract and expanded to 10 additional square miles.
And if you can give us those exact dates, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, those dates are very important. Thank you, Dean. So therefore, once we knew that we were into a contract, we knew the dates when they were ended, why wasn't we proactive in getting it to council to be able to discuss an opportunity for you to renew as opposed to what was done where the administration, well, when you as a director was able to enter into this new contract without council authority? What makes sense of that
Through
the chair?
Through the chair to Councilman Starr. The extension of the contract in 2023, that was the extension, in 2023 was done through the Board of Control. It was not brought to council. It was through section 181.102, as you're aware, of the codified ordinances. The first extension went through the Board of Control. It was not brought to council because that was a contract or extension for software. And the ordinance or the section that I alluded to gives the Director of Public Safety, and not just the Director of Public Safety, it's just directors, the authority to put an extension through the Board of Control, which is what I did. Now, if you fast forward to 2026, under the same premise, under the same section, we did not want to have a stopgap. We didn't want to have no coverage. So again, we follow the same procedures and authorization that's given to any director through section 181.102 to extend the contract with Sound Thinking or ShotSpotter.
Woo-wee. I understand you said about the Board of Control and the mayor, which is the mayor and the cabinet, for you to be able to enter into additional contracts because you didn't want to disrupt the actual services that was needed for the Department of Safety or the police to usage. So that's why you went to Board of Control as opposed to bringing legislation or bringing a contract agreement or anything like that to council, as if the Board of Control, by the what you say, by the codified ordinance, allows you to be able to enter into a renewal. Is that what you're basically saying?
I'm sorry, through the chair to the councilman. This is a provision that was exercised in previous contracts. Again, not just with this particular extension of a contract for this Sound Thinking or the gunshot detection technologies and software, and there's provisions that we've done. We've done it for other softwares. For example, there's a ZOL, which is a software for the Division of Fire. We needed to extend that contract. We went through the Board of Control to extend that particular software contract. We did the same thing here with the Sound Thinking contract or ShotSpotter contract. To extend that, again, is something that we've done based on the authority that's granted to us through that section.
And through the chair to the councilman, I would say that the city does take the wording of this ordinance very seriously. And if you would recall, back we had to bring software for legislative authority, and I believe it was the Deccan software for the Division of Fire, because when it was originally purchased, it was under $50,000. Of course, with inflation, it now became over $50,000. We tried to go through the 181.102, but the law department said no because there wasn't, it requires original specific ordinance authority. So the original contract needs that ordinance authority to be able to use this type of extension. So it's not a blank check.
Right.
It's not a rubber stamp. This is thoroughly reviewed by the law department and then by the Board of Control, which is public, which is streamed on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's thank you, Jason, Assistant Director Shackner. That's the point, a point of clarification is that, this system was, the Board of Control is open to the public. There's notification that goes out to well over 100 individuals, and it's open to the public, the Board of Control. And again, through the section, the 181.102, which authorizes any director to go through them to extend software contracts.
Councilman?
So 181.102 was never intended to bypass legislative oversight for a high dollar reoccurring contracts, right?
Through the chair, can you repeat that question?
So basically, with the way is 181.102, it is set up for you to make a decision without having to go through legislative oversight for any high dollar reoccurring contracts, right?
Through the chair, the councilman, I don't believe that is correct, because you can only authorize contract what legislative authority you originally got for the original purchase, plus with money that's appropriated. Money has to be there. It has to be able to certify a contract. If council didn't provide funds for software for the Division of Police, this extension would not be possible. So there is legislative authority. There was oversight over the contract made to continue to avoid an interruption in services. And we would go back to the Division of Police did start looking into an alternatives back in June of 2025, a year in advance of this contract expiring, brought legislation forward to enter into a new contract. As you may recall, that it was a flock product called Raven that the Division of Police did their due diligence, canvassed the area, looked at all the different types of technologies, and was bringing legislation for you. When we had our discussions in November with the CSU report, there was a desire among council to go through an RFP. We did not object to that. We are working on the RFP, similarly to how Chicago has a similar RFP out for gunshot technology, but that takes time. When it was originally thinking about what type of technology we're going to use or continue with for the gunshot detection, it was not contemplated that we would be in this position. So with the added additional time needed to do an RFP, we needed to do a temporary extension through the ordinance. And there will be ample opportunity to comment when we bring legislation for if sound thinking is the best with the RFP, we go with sound thinking. If it's someone else, we'll bring that to you. And that new contract will have to go through council, or may need to go through council. I don't want to make.
Yes, I got you, Chair, because I know I'm getting close to time, and I seen the dean looking at me. But the thing is, I just do have some questions, and I definitely am going to want to send over. So before we go in, I definitely want to make sure I get these questions out. Like, is there any way the administration can provide documentation showing how this contract meets the definition of professional services from that ordinance, or from the codified ordinance under 181.102? And then on top of that, how does this ongoing annually reoccurring technology system qualify as professional service rather than citywide operational program? And then also, at what point does this contract under that codified ordinance 181.102 require legislative oversight due to the size or during the duration of this contract? But then also, I would definitely want to know is how many contracts over 500,000 have been executed under this same rule of 181.102 without council approval in the last 5 years? How many times have we enacted this, or this administration enacted this rule in regard to reoccurring contracts or execution or moving forward? And then I definitely am going to send these over, Dean, but also I want to understand that if this rule is only being utilized to bypass the legislative process, and if it was up to me, I would be very hesitant to pass another piece of legislation from this body regarding anything, rather how you want to use it, any charter language, if it does not go through the legislative process, if it was up to me. Because this just says, it doesn't show that you're being transparent. It doesn't show that we're not able to actually go through the legislative process. It's like, hey, we need to make this happen, even though you knew that in 2020 when that contract was ending, and then obviously we knew the other contract was ending this month as well, where we had enough time to be able to do everything we need, from bidding process to making sure we have everything in place to allow us to determine if this ShotSpotter is the best thing to do. And also, I will ask Dean, why don't we have sound thinkers or ShotSpotter actually at the table presenting on some of these services as well, as opposed to just the administration here? I believe that is very important topic to discuss, because we did get the assessments that CSU did,
Yes.
but we should have the actual ones who is administering ShotSpotter or sound thinking to be here to be able to explain and ask questions. And I yield, Chair.
Thank you. But let me just go back to the issue of 181. I've asked the council president, when we were made aware of the action of the Board of Control, Council President and I discussed this issue, and I've asked him that we need to take a good deep dive into 181, and if we should consider amending that to include the $50,000 cap, because the question is, this contract, this extension was for $853,340. What if it had been for $2 million or even larger? There would have been no requirement for them to come back because it was classified as IT technology. So we collectively as a body, we're going to have that discussion, and that discussion soon, about we either repeal that section or we amend that section, so we can have the legislative oversight that you just spoke to. But I have spoken to the council president about that.
To the chairman,
yes,
if I
go
may
ahead,
comment,
Director.
the process we went through the Board of Control is a transparent process. I just want to make sure, because I don't want folks to think that we're doing things that we're not allowed to do or authorized to do. The Board of Control is a public hearing. We send notification, I don't, through the Board of Control. They send out notification to over 100 folks it's an open door. It's open to the public, and so it's not something that we're doing behind closed doors. It's a very transparent process. I sat here, and I'll continue to say it, I should have talked to you, Chair, and we've had our conversations before. I've had the conversation with the council president as well, that I should have notified you that we were going to the Board of Control. I take the onus for that now. That's on me. And again, it won't happen going forward.
Director, no one at the table is alluding that you did anything, or the administrator did anything illegal. You followed 181.102. But again, the question is, had that been for $3 million, there would have been no requirement to come back to council. And so that's our concern, because if you know the history here, I was asked in December to pass the flock piece at the last meeting, and I indicated I would not do that without without there being a an RFQ, an RFP that would go out. And so we held that legislation. We knew that this was running out, and there was some discussion whether you were going to come in with a flock piece. And again, my position was very clear, RFQ, RFP, which you just alluded to a moment, both of you. But here we are, again, we went to the 11th hour in April, and then the contract with, we call ShotSpotter now, what's their new name? Sound Thinking, to extend it. This is extended to what date?
So-
1 year.
It's 1 year, so it's April of next year.
April of next year. Okay, so I want to thank Councilman Starr for his line of questioning. Let me see what we have.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Sorry. And you mentioned looking at 181, 102
Right.
and financial limits,
Right.
things like that. I would just respectfully recommend a canvas of similarly situated cities that I think you would find that the city of Cleveland is an outlier in terms of the $50,000 requirement.
Say it again.
Is an outlier in the $50,000
But,
limit.
okay, but in all due respect, Assistant Director, you have to understand our perspective here. We can't hire, we can't fire, we cannot deploy, we cannot administer. We provide the funding. And under 181.102, if the extension with ShotSpotter would have been $3 million, there would have been no approval by council needed.
That would, through the chair, that would only be the case if there was no approval in the budget for $2 million.
But you found the 853, okay? So, and that's why I'm going to ask where that 853 came from, because I don't believe it was in the director's drawer. It came from somewhere. So on that point, I'm going to call Councilman Joe Jones. Please, I want to thank Councilman Starr and everyone else for keeping time. We're 10 minutes out of the first round here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the directors, we got a whole lot here to unravel and unpack. Being a member of the committee, when we talk about 181-102, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we bring that back and amend it, especially when there is no limitations. And we've been sitting here at this table since 2018 when 181.02 was approved, and we still haven't gotten our police forces up to where they need to be in terms of manpower on the streets. So it brings me into asking the question that you have stated here, that you were pressed to approve another company. And Mr. Chairman, what was the name of the company you were talking about?
It was, I was asked, we had a piece of legislation to pass. It was for flock, and we indicated that we were not going to pass that at the last meeting of the year. We weren't going to do that. We suggested, recommended that the administration go out for an RFQ, RFP, as it pertains to any extension of any type of gunshot detection system.
Well, then that leads me to this question. If the administration was pushing for the flock, now the question is, how effective is ShotSpotter? And why are we asking for money for them if we wanted to have another service?
Whoever.
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, we wanted to make sure that we had coverage with the gunshot detection technology until we had the opportunity to go out for an RFP for the product as stated by.
I can't hear you, Mr. Chairman. You right at the mic, but now your voice went low. So you're going to have to speak like, put your outside voice on. You know you was out there on the street being a police officer at one time.
Through the chair, we wanted to make sure, through the chair to Councilman Jones, we wanted to make sure that we had coverage for the 13 square miles. We wanted to make sure that we continue to have coverage. So that's why we went through the Board of Control to extend the contract as a stopgap until we had the opportunity to go out for an RFP.
So we would have had both of them? So we would have had both ShotSpotter and Flock at the same time? So, I mean, the issue is why go for flock when you got spot shotter, and then why are we approving spot shotter now if you wanted flock?
Through the chair, again, we wanted to make sure that we did not lose coverage of the technology, gunshot detection technology. That was first and foremost. And we did bring last year's council safety chair stated legislation relative to new potential.
The question, Mr. Chairman, is why would you want to have another service over another service? Why are we sitting here talking about this service and you really didn't want this service, but you wanted another service? And what was the difference between the two services that would cause you to get rid of this service and go to that service? And then all of a sudden you pull it back. So I don't know. I'm sitting here as one of the members of the don't have the inside information, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Through the chair, the legislation was held by the council chair, safety chair. The legislation was held. We wanted to make sure, again, and I'll answer the question, we wanted to make sure that we had a stopgap until we can go out for an RFP. We wanted to make sure that we had integrated system for the gunshot detection technology. And what I mean by integration, we want to make sure we can integrate our cameras. We want to make sure we can integrate our license plate readers, all that into an integrated system to assist our detectives, our analysts in the Real Crime Time Center to be able to do their job even more effectively and efficiently.
So we don't have that right now? Is the system with the ShotSpotter not integrated?
To the chair, as the current system that we have right now, the gunshot detection technology is not integrated into our camera systems. So no, we do not have the integration there. What happens now through the technology, gunshot detection technology, is there's an alert, shots are fired, an alert goes off, it's analyzed, the information goes to our dispatchers as well as our zone cars. They respond to the area. Now, if there's if there's a camera in the area, the real-time crime center can get up on that camera and pan, tilt, and zoom into that particular area. But if it isn't, we have no cameras in there. Now, our investigators will go out and canvass and try to find surveillance cameras and so forth. They can do that. But what we're looking for is an integrated system where there's an alert, camera's already there. The officers or an analyst in our real-time crime center will have the ability to go up on the cameras immediately and give real-time information to our zone cars who are responding to the scene. Also gives our analysts and detectives are assigned to our real-time crime center real-time information to see suspects potentially. Vehicles
so let me
involved
make sure,
in it.
because I know you'll keep talking and my time is done. So I want to really get down to it. When you say integrated, right? So are you saying, Mr. Chairman, to the Safety Director, Drummond, that with the newer technology with Flock, it would allow for integration, meaning that, now this is, I'm trying to extrapolate from you because you said so much. And you probably could say a whole bunch of more. You probably give me an hour speech on just that. So my question is when the shots are fired, do your camera systems in your real-time center pops up and turns red or something, or the cameras come on in those areas where the shots were fired, or we know, I mean, when you say integration, can you integrate it? Can you tell us how that, is it that way or is not that way?
Sure, I'm not advocating, I want to, I'm sorry, through the chair to Councilman,
Yes.
I'm not advocating for any particular system. So I want to make sure I'm not advocating for Flock.
I know, but just tell me about my question.
Right, I know. I just want to
wanna
make
hear
sure
about
I'm not.
what you're saying now.
Well,
I'm
it's
asking a
important for me
question,
to-
and you
Through the
keep
chair,
you
please.
gonna give a whole lot of, you're gonna give me another 10 minutes away, and I'm gonna have to come back on the back end. I want to do it in 10 minutes, please.
Through the chair, I lost my train of thought.
The
I
issue
was
is
trying to,
when the shots are fired
When the-
through Flock, because there's a difference between spot shotter. You're saying that spot shotter is not integrated into the camera system, right?
through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, so then that's okay. So then the Flock is. So tell me how that is with the camera system. How is that does that work? Is it a better technology?
Through the chair, flock system is not, we do not have a flock, we do not have a flock gunshot detection system in our, and within the Division of Police. We do not have that. Our current system is through sound thinking, ShotSpotter technology, gunshot detection technology. So flock is not there. What we have with flock are license plate readers is what we have with them. So currently, our current system with ShotSpotter does not have cameras integrated with it, which what I mean by that is if there is a gunshot detected through the system, there's not a camera that's integrated with the acoustics that can actually go right to that particular area where the shots are coming from. That's what I mean by integration.
Okay, so then with the other system, it would be able to do that. Would it or would it not be?
Through the chair, that's why we're going to go out for an RFP.
I'm asking, would it do it or not?
We will hopefully
not
we'll have
sure?
a system. No, hopefully we have systems out there that will be able to integrate acoustics or gunshot detection technology along with other acoustics, integrated with cameras, so we'll have real-time situational awareness for what's going on if a
So
shot's
when the
fired.
shots are fired, the camera systems will pick it up.
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, that's correct.
All right, and then does the camera systems that we have in terms of integrated technology, would that also be like you use the term detecting license plates, a license plates reader? Is it technology integrated into those systems too as well, or is that something different?
Through the chair, the current system we have, our cameras are not integrated with the acoustics or the gunshot detection technology.
Are they integrated in the technology to detect the license plates?
Through the chair, we have the flock system, we have license plate readers, and that's integrated into our real-time crime center.
So, and those are actual individual, Mr. Chairman, systems set up just only to read license plates?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, that's correct.
And our current camera systems don't have that capacity and technology to do that?
Through the chair, we have cameras throughout the city of Cleveland, which are license plate readers.
Do we have them where they're up on the poles that are reading the actual license plates?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, that's correct.
Okay, so then when shots are fired off, when you say integrated, they will be able to detect whatever cars are moving during that period of time in that area to detect those license plates?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, our hope is that through the integrated technology, if a shots go off, it confirms the shot, we'll be able to go, we being the Division of Police and their employees and members will be able to look at cameras in that specific area where the shot was discharged.
And then how effective, Mr. Chairman, is our current system in terms of spot shotter? Because, I was a supporter of that system when they first brought it in, and that was one of the reasons, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking the questions, because we were told that you would come back at some point and give us an analysis and a breakdown on how efficient and effective spot shotter has been and how it has performed. So do we have any statistical information on that? And then what leads me to have concerns is because we don't have that many police, Mr. Chairman, and you might have to put me on the back end again. We don't have that many police. Has it been effective, because of not having enough police officers to get to those locations to check them out? Have we had those kinds of issues?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, the system has been effective, and I stated earlier, we gave some specific examples where the technology aided our detectives in solving crimes, identifying subjects, suspects, ultimately leading to search warrants and arrest of individuals involved in discharging firearms or shooting individuals in our community.
So we were able to catch some people?
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, that's correct.
It would be nice, Mr. Chairman, to get a breakdown on just how effective the system has been that we've used. I am concerned about 18102, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to bring that piece back and modify it. Mr. Chairman, I would also suggest a full, as my colleague Richard Starr has stated, a full understanding of spot shot, or have them come in and give us a breakdown, of course, with our good, strong safety director to talk about how effective the program has been. And Mr. Chairman, I just think it's not fair that we don't have this expanding, because we were told that if it is effective, it would be expanding. Now, I got a lot of shots going on in my neighborhood, and we don't have the spot shotter. And so I don't know, Mr. Chairman, how we can get that in our area, but I would love to work with the safety director to see how we can expand that and deal with some of the issues that we're having in our neighborhood in terms of quality of life. And I would be appreciative, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Thank you,
for putting me back on.
Yes. Councilwoman Nikki Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, you said that the cost to extend the contract for 1 year is $853,340. Is that exclusively for software?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Because there are, the gunshot technology, devices themselves, that go up on poles. Is that when were those paid for, and how much did they cost? What contract are those included in?
Through the chair to Councilman, we don't own those. Sound Thinking owns those.
So is that part of the contract?
It's like software as a service.
Yeah, the sensors, through the chair to Councilwoman Hudson, yeah, the sensors estate is all. We don't own that. As a matter of fact, we don't put them up. The ShotSpotter or Sound Thinking, they put those up. So we do not own. This is a software that we're paying for.
That was part of the $2.7 million original contract.
The original contract covered the cost of them of Sound Thinking installing their equipment.
Through the chair to council member, that's correct.
Okay, and through the chair, how do you determine where those sensors are deployed?
Through the chair, it's based on data. It's a data-driven approach. It's for the shots fired calls that we know of. That's recorded through our CAD system. It's based on homicides in a particular area. It's based on non-fatal shootings in that particular area. And based on those statistics, we are able to locate the areas that are really problematic. And once we identify those areas, working with our partners with Sound Thinking, they went out, put the sensors up in those particular areas. And again, the reason, again, I'm sorry, it's all based on data. It's how we decide which area to put the technology in.
And I've been looking at the CSU study. Just so you know, one of the areas that this was expanded to in the 1st and 2nd district is where my home is. It is this in 2024. This technology was expanded to my particular neighborhood with good reason. And so I'm wondering if you have statistics about the effects this has had on those neighborhoods in particular. If you've done any studies to quantify lives saved or calls that have been responded to or not responded to because of this technology.
Through the chair, we have data that I'll have the Division of Police put forward relative to, we believe, lives saved through the technology, receiving an alert for shots fired. Our officers respond, locate a victim, administer first aid until EMS or fire arrives. We know that the individuals lived. We're hoping that obviously it's from what our officers did on scene, coupled with EMS and obviously what they do at the hospitals. We know on average it's about 4 minutes before calls come in on the shots fired on average that our officers are there, and if they find a victim, and they've found victims in several instances, they're administering first aid, and again, EMS is there to able to do what they can through their training until EMS gets there to get the individuals to the hospital so the hospital can do what they do to save lives. So we have, we believe, several situations with that where that did occur. And then there are calls where we receive the alerts where we have no subsequent 911 calls.
That was my next
Yes.
question. Thank you. Through the
Yes.
chairs, do you have the data on, false alarms when it, might not have been shots fired? If it's fireworks or if it's car backfiring or, some other noise that might have, caused the alert?
Through the chair, that those numbers, we do have information, but those alerts are where it's not, or a false positive, is those numbers are minute. The officers, when they receive the alerts, of course, it goes through the sound thinking ShotSpotter folks who analyze it to discern whether or not it's a gunshot. And then, again, within a minute, that information is conveyed to, less than a minute, or within a minute, it's conveyed to Division of Police, and the officers respond to the shots fired calls. And part of their responsibility is to make sure, if they don't find a victim, is to check for shell casings and things of that nature, other evidence that they can give to our CJIC unit, which is a Crime Gun Intelligence Center, so we can see if whether or not that particular weapon was used in other crimes. So it's a lot of different facets that's involved in it, but the vast majority of the calls for shots fired based on the alerts are legitimate shots that were
you.
fired.
Sorry, through the chair to the councilwoman.
Yes.
Just to clarify, I believe officers are dispatched at an average of 81 seconds from a shot,
Right.
from a sound thinking alert, with a median of 78 seconds as opposed to the 3 or 4 minutes of
Right.
a 911 call.
Thank you for the clarification.
And through the chair, is there a way that we can get the data on other contracts? A list of other contracts that have gone that have been approved through Section 181.102.
Through safety?
Yeah, through safety, and then also in particular the amounts of those contracts. Just
Do
the
you understand the request? Okay.
Yeah, through the chair, I believe Councilman Starr, so I asked for the same information.
And then through the chair, when did the administration decide to renew this contract with Sound Thinking?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Hudson, we knew that it was coming it was going to expire, obviously, April of this year. Last year, as stated before, we wanted to get more integration with the technology. We brought to this council, this body, a contract, well, not a contract, ordinance to integrate the system. The safety chair held up the ordinance. The legislation stated that we needed to go out for an RFP, which is what we ultimately are going to do. But in the interim, we wanted to make sure that we had coverage in those areas. So as the end of the year progressed, which is when we attempted to get the legislation through, was held. So we started thinking how we wanted to see how we can move forward with the coverage. And we made a decision, or I made the decision, that we need to have a stopgap until we can go out for the RFP for this technology and the integration of this technology, ultimately going to the Board of Control for the expiration of the contract.
So through the chair, when did you decide that you would go through the Board of Control and not get council approval?
Through the chair, it was sometime towards the early part of this month that we talked about going through the Board of Control.
Because I ask through the chair because Sound Thinking reached out to me during budget hearings and scheduled an appointment with me to discuss this. They were in town. I believe this is an out-of-town company, and I had an appointment with them on the books in March, on March 3rd actually, and my son was ill and stayed home from school, so I had to reschedule. And in the process of attempting to reschedule, they told me, never mind. They didn't need to reschedule. And I didn't, think anything of it at the time. However, when this came up, it made me think that maybe they decided they didn't need to meet with council members because, back in March, they knew that this contract was going through without council approval. So that's why I'm asking. Did you talk about this in March?
We talk about, through the chair to the councilwoman, did we talk about extending the contract?
Using, through the Board of Control?
Through the chair, we did not talk with Sound Thinking, ShotSpotter about going through the Board of Control. We did not.
Okay, thank you. I'll yield for now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Through the chair, just
Yes.
to clarify about the devices, looking at the ShotSpotter report, that there was a one-time service startup fee for device installation of $10,000 per square mile in the original contract.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones.
Okay, good morning. Through the chair to our public safety team. Okay, so can you help me understand? I know you said you get it, but I know we're talking about this contract. Tell me, how many contracts have we had for Sound Thinking ShotSpotter? How many contracts do we have?
Director.
Through the chair, I believe, through the chair, double check, through the chair to council member House Jones, I believe it's 3 total, the original and 2 extensions.
Okay, and through the chair to the director, when was the original contract?
Through the chair to council member House Jones, I believe was 2020. I don't have the exact date, but I can get that for you.
We've requested that.
Yeah, no, I know, but again, we're talking about it, so I
Yeah.
think it's very relevant to our conversation. And so the allocation contract that I voted against, ordinance 909-2022, what contract was that?
That was to the chair to council member House Jones. That was a second amendment to the contract, which is the ordinance you mentioned, 909-2022.
So this is, I guess that's what I'm trying to get a clarification on. And you indicated that it was an amendment, but that's not what this legislation said. It wasn't an amendment. It was a contract. Yeah, it's a contract. And I'm just trying to understand when we're talking about, I guess the clarification is, how is this an amendment from the original contract?
Great.
Whoever could answer that.
So through the chair,
I know you can look at that, but I just want to highlight in 909-2022, again, this is one of those things where it says Section 8, that any contract or grant over $50,000 to be entered into under this ordinance shall require additional legislative authority, and really trying to compare that, which this is a new section because it's underlined, and we had this conversation talking about where it was utilized, the codified ordinance 181-102, where gives the authority. I'm trying to understand and reconcile those two.
through the chair to the councilwoman, so to answer the previous question, the way that the law department extends contracts, if there's no changes, significant changes, and extending the term of a contract is through an amendment, so all the amendment did was extend the term of the contract.
And through where is that amendment? That's not what this, I'm talking about in the actual legislation.
So the legislation authorized an extension of the contract, correct? Is that what the legislation?
No, I'm
said?
asking you, no, that's what I am not, no.
I don't have.
That's what, when you're trying to say, and extended an amendment to the original contract, in ordinance 909-2022, I'm asking you, where is that an extension of an amendment? Because I don't see that. And so then, as you all are indicating, that you are able to use 181.102 because it was a part of the original contract, I'm trying to indicate where is that in the legislation, because I don't see it. Which then I'm bringing up the reason why Section 8 is put in there, anything over $50,000 should come back to council. I'll let you all look on that and we'll talk about it later, but I really want you all to highlight that point. And I'm gonna get into my questions very briefly regarding, because this is the framing of legislation that I voted against for various reasons. I was the only person on council to do so. But I do want to go through the things as we talked about ShotSpotter, how we indicated what it would do. So through this point, one of the things in the executive summary, we talked about financial leveraging. Through this point, have we, the city of Cleveland, been able to leverage and get additional resources to expand ShotSpotter in the city of Cleveland?
Whoever can answer.
Through the chair, at this particular time, well, we don't have the, at this particular time, no.
Okay. One of the things under, through the chair to the director, we talked about environmental sustainability. Do we know how much gas has been saved as a response to the responsiveness of our police officers within the city of Cleveland? Have we tracked that?
Through the chair to council member, we do track the gas usage, but to this particular, your particular question, no.
Regarding, we talked under community impact, one of the things that were talked about through the chair to the team here, I know we had a conversation about police response times, and I know we talked about in cases where ShotSpotter is used, you said the response time is 78 seconds? Was that what I heard?
So the chair was an average of 81 with a median of 78.
81, median 78 seconds. How is that reflected in our overall police response times comparatively when we look at our budget hearings when we don't see the impact in increasing in response times?
Through the chair to
And what
council.
percentage of it is it?
Through the chair to council member, we don't have that information in front of us. If that's a inquiry you want us to answer, we can get that information
Yeah, I
for
would
you.
like to know that. And then I will go into probably my last question is, one of the things that, as we were having the conversation originally around ShotSpotter, we talked about this is one of the tools that will then help to lead for small businesses, a decrease in insurance and security costs. Do we have the analysis to see in places where ShotSpotter is, there has been a decrease in security costs and insurance premiums for small businesses within the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair to council member, I do not have that information.
Okay, thank you. So those are just my questions. This is what we were touted when we had the conversation back in 2022, and I just wanted to bring this forward to see as the things that we are putting out in the community to say why we are using certain things. We're not even tracking it to be able to show improve. But the other thing is when just in this conversation, we had the conversation around the $50,000 being an outlier regarding peer cities. And I was not here when the $50,000, I know when it was originally put forth, but I am going to make an inference. The reason why it's there is because there's a lack of trust. When you don't have a strong partnership, when there's a lack of trust, then things like this are done politically to ensure that people can be fair dealers. And from my perspective, the administration, you two, Director Chief, were not being a straight shooter when it came to this contract because people knew how unsettled many Cleveland City Council members are. And it probably wasn't your decision because you work for someone who has to make decisions. But that is the reason why, at this point, the $50,000 is in there because we're just not being straight. We're not being straight shooters, for real. And I would hope that at this point, as we are in the second term, that the administration would work to be better partners with me as a council member and other members of Cleveland City Council who have the obligation to allocate the resources that you all are stewards of. Until we probably get to this point to build an actual real strong, trusted relationship, this $50,000 is probably going to stay. And things like this do not inspire me to believe that it is really the actual motivation to actually be a real partner. So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully we can actually get some clarification on all of the questions that I have, but I'm not going to continue to, belabor the point. But thank you so much.
Thank
Through
you.
the chair, the council
Right,
member, thank
right.
you for your points. We'll get the information that you requested. But I have to make sure we're clear here. And the decision to go to the Board of Control was mine. I want to make sure we're clear with that. It was the decision to go to the Board of Control was my decision. It was not the mayor. It was not. There was no one else. It was not any other member on my team. It was my decision to go to the Board of Control. It was not the law director. Again, I want to make sure it's clear. It was my decision to go to the Board of Control. I want to make sure we're clear with that.
And I will thank you through the chair to Chief Director. Thank you for clarifying that. And so I will clarify to you that your decisions have now caused an erosion of trust between Cleveland City Council.
Through the chair, I understand that, and that was certainly not my intent. My intent was to make sure that we had coverage of the technology, the gunshot detection technology, based on the things I've stated here before, to give our officers an equipment that we believe have been really effective in solving crime, giving our officers that tool. And again, that was my decision. I'm sorry that you believe that it erodes trust. That was not my intent. My intent was to continue to give our community tools that's making us safer, I believe.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Slife.
I'll pass. I think my questions were mostly answered about understanding just the process that this decision was able to be made through, and I'm also interested in understanding what we should do as a body to maybe tighten that up, and I'll leave it there. Thank you.
And so again, I did speak to the council president. You're part of the leadership team. Councilman Slife, I would hope that we would discuss this in greater detail because I think there needs to be safeguards. We need to step back and consider the possibilities because if things are classified as IT or technology and there's no requirement to come back to us, the door is wide open, and I have a great concern about that. Councilman Jones, you're the last one up. Final comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just listening to this, I want to thank my colleagues for their questioning. Some of it was really thorough, so it gave me an opportunity to kind of like see the bigger picture of what some of the smaller detailed nuances are here as relates to Section 18102. In addition to what the original contract had stated, I was in full support of ShotSpotter and came to the table as such. And one of the reasons, Mr. Chairman, is, and always will be, is making sure that our police department has all the tools necessary to be effective and efficient in what they do in terms of going after the people who are causing mayhem and mischief in our communities. And Mr. Chairman, I've even had to hear shots and go out and try to figure out where they were, and even with other police officers in cars, we're rolling around trying to figure out where some of the gunfire has happened in our neighborhood. So that's one of the main reasons why I support this, but there's sort of a little cloud here I'm quite sure that the director can certainly clear up. And it is my hope, Mr. Chairman, that we have a full process here and have ShotSpotter as one of my colleagues, Mr. Starr, stated, to really fundamentally come in here and tell us exactly what it is that they're doing. And when I supported this, Mr. Chairman, to the director and to the administration, I was told that it was going to expand, and that would expand in upper part of the Lee Harvard area where we're hearing a lot of shots. And it's a lot of shots that are fired. And Mr. Chairman, crime is in some degree unchecked. We've had here just in the last couple of weeks, Mr. Chairman, where we've had someone who's hit and killed. We've had, and as I've been saying here at the table for the longest, and it seems like it falls on deaf ears, where the traffic and the speeding is so dangerous that we're having cars. We just had a car flip over. And so it's like we need help. And I want to, and as you have been here at the table and you said this in your opening statement, Mr. Chairman, to the director, we've given you everything you've ever asked for. And for me, I want to know that we're decreasing crime in our neighborhoods with this technology. I want to hear from the people who is offering and providing this technology. I really want to hear the truth from you and the administration on what the tools you technically need. When we talk about coming in and changing the contract to flock, and it's sort of like what Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones has stated. You know, we need to have that relationship where we really fund, because we're your partners. No matter how you want to look at it on the other side of the table, we want to give you the tools necessary so that we can keep our streets safe. And so I want to be able to do that. I'm not here at the table, Mr. Chairman, to beat up our safety director. I'm here at the table to try to have a relationship and a partnership so that we can truly try to deal with these issues, because for me, as being an elected in Ward 1, it is, and in the city, is our goal to hopefully drive people back to the city of Cleveland. And one of those things that are important, Mr. Chairman, to us is that we have a strong safety force, that our safety force is so strong that it sets a standard. And it draws a line in the sand that says you can't come in our city and do what you want to do. And for me, that's the reason why I sit here at this table. That's why safety is so important. Because if we have safety that's taking care of its business, like it needs to take care of its business, then we will have a safer city, and we'll have people who want to move into this city. We'll retain our existing population. So when I sit here at this table, I really want to be able to be effective. I want my time to really mean something while I sit here. And at the end of the day, I want my citizens, Mr. Chairman, to the director, to the administration, to be safe. It is what we want. It's what we desire. So, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that when we have the next session here, that we have a full-fledged discussion about these license readers, these license plate readers. How many of them do we have? How effective it is? We have given the department oogles of technology. You have probably some of the most sharpest systems that there is on the planet. I've sat here and approved not just hundreds of thousands, but millions and 20s of millions of dollars into the systems of the safety to know where a fly is sitting at. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would hope that we could do that and do that soon. And I just want to say, I appreciate your leadership, and I'll wait for that hearing to happen. I thought that was going to happen today. I thought we was going to have spot shotter people here talking about how they're reducing crime. And then I'll also, Mr. Chairman, send some of my questions I have ahead of time before the session, and hopefully that those questions can be answered. And I appreciate, again, Mr. Chairman, the work that you do. So don't think that I'm sitting over at the end of this table trying to beat you up, make you look bad, or make the administration look bad. I just need to know that I got some help.
Thank you, Councilman. The purpose today was to explore how the administration decided to expand ShotSpotter. The new system referred to it now. I keep wanting
Sound
to say
thinking.
sound thinking.
Right.
That was what we're trying to get our hands on today. I will tell you, the only thing we haven't given the administration, and that was last year when they came in, again, at the 11th hour with the to expand or to enter in a contract with Flock, which I felt was not handled well, and that's why we held that piece. So other than that, we've given them everything they've asked for, and we will continue to do that if we have the proper information and data. So I'll work with the administration to get a presentation. I'll work with the director, assistant director, if they wish to bring ShotSpotter, sound thinking to the table for a more in-depth discussion as to the inner workings of the system. I have no problem doing that. We'll schedule that. Thank you.
And through Chair,
yes.
I want to say thank you for the council for working with us. You have given us the tools that you mentioned, from the body cameras to dash cameras to the current system that we have, gunshot detection technology. Yes, you've given us the equipment that our officers need from the mobile data terminals in the cars, all those things, and we really appreciate it. And I believe I have a strong relationship with the safety chair as we meet weekly. I meet with others as well, so I continue to build on that relationship. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. We're here to work with you. You understand the concerns that we have about transparency, oversight. That's critical for us. Okay, let's jump right into the nuisance laws. We have it's on your laptop. We have a presentation. Just for the viewing public, the nuisance law was established by City Council. I can't remember when now. I was a co-sponsor to that nuisance law. Then we revised it based on a real good discussion that I had with the director and the assistant director. I think it was early last year, because many of us myself felt it wasn't working, the nuisance law, nuisance enforcement. And I have to commend the director and assistant director. They really took a deep dive into the whole process of why it wasn't working, and they implemented changes. We amended the law, and now we believe, collectively, at least I hope so, that we're starting to see fruits of our labors, that the nuisance law is starting to be enforced, and we can start to point to positive changes in our neighborhoods. At least I hope so. So the floor is yours, Director and Assistant Director. Let's go into the nuisance law.
Through the chair, our Assistant Director Shackner is going to lead the presentation
Okay.
relative to the Chapter 630, criminal activity nuisances.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chair, members of council. We have a little presentation about the status of Chapter 630 criminal activity nuisances. Prior to that, I do want to recognize some of our staff and teammates within the Department of Public Safety. Ian Aston, who's a fantastic asset to our office, has really taken on this task and organizing it. Sergeant Lanton and Detective Jasmine Brown are also instrumental in ensuring that this is a successful program and that this ordinance is enforced to its fullest effect. Purpose of this, as you may recall, was really to protect the safety and quality of life of Cleveland neighborhoods, because we believe that the property owners should be responsible for what happens on their property, that the Cleveland Division of Police is not the private security of any property owner. We do respond to crimes and criminal activity, but when you have a property that is consistently taking up the time of the Division of Police due to the fault of the property owner and their lack of attention, we believe the property owner should be held responsible for that and be a partner in trying to address this, instead of keep putting it all on the city taxpayers and the Division of Police. So
Yep.
that will, through the chair, that will be addressed.
Yeah.
And, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, there are listed within Chapter 630.01. There are 173 qualifying violations. So not every crime or not every property issue is considered a criminal activity nuisance under this ordinance. There's 173 of them. There's some examples up there. There are most frequent, like unnecessary noise and disorderly conduct and dog nuisances. But it's not all-encompassing, but really affects quality of life issues. So here's the process. It's really a 7-step process, as you can see up here. We'll start with the first one, which is property identification. Now, when we were first working out the kinks of this, I was the initial intake person, then was able to hand it off to Sergeant Lanton and Detective Brown, and then when we hired Ian Aston, he really took on this initial process. So what he does is he looks through the calls for service for the previous 30 days. Now, he does this by looking, we have a Power BI system, and we do narrow the universe of offenses. Because if you just looked at the past 30 days, you're going to get thousands and thousands of properties, thousands and thousands of calls. So we have really two routes this could go through. One is our spot checking. Our spot checking really focuses on quality of life issues. So noise complaints, noisy neighbors, street racing, drag racing, unnecessary noise sound devices, people playing music in their cars too loud in the driveway. We focus on those. And once we find properties that have 3 or more, we then look at that individual. So it gives us a list of all the properties that have at least 3 of those type of calls. And then when we look at the individual property for the past 30 days, we look at all the calls to try and figure out what do we have probable cause for. So then our initial intake, we look at those calls. They're put on a list. So for example, those violations must have some validity, i.e., it says in the notes that the officer advised the tenant to turn down the music. Okay, so we have some evidence there. Or that they could hear the music or the disturbance over the phone within the call. Or it was checked later and there's a wearable camera system showing that that event actually happened. So the properties that have not received a warning letters need 3 violations to qualify. Properties that have already received a warning letter only need 1 violation to be declared a nuisance. And then once you declare a nuisance, just 1 violation in there, you're going to get fined again. Properties with only 1 or 2 good violations are put on a be on the lookout list, and then we review them every month. And we also take requests from council members for individual properties that may have not met that criteria or initial search. Like if there's assaults, we may not necessarily look at the ones that have a lot of assaults that occur just for the spot checking. But if you have properties that you know of, or even the Division of Police, they have a system now, a form that individual officers could fill out of problem properties that we get alerted to those to look at. So the next step is marking for review. So the properties with 3 or more violations are then entered into a database. We list the potential violations. We verify who owns the property. That's done through My Place on the Cuyahoga County website, auditor's website. And if more than 3 violations are identified, the most documented violations are selected, and they're marked appropriately, as in, oh, this one's should be declared a nuisance, or we think this one should get a warning letter. And that's sent to our review team, which is Sergeant Lanton and Detective Brown. So then the review team has more access. They're sworn law enforcement officers, so they have access to the record management systems, the wearable camera systems. They know the officers. They have better contact with the actual officers on the ground. They could call and ask for follow-ups in the neighborhood officers to do. So the review team reviews the list, and they prepare a property file. If there's no file exists, they create one. They put in reports, evidence, body cam footage, and they evaluate it. They're either confirmed or denied, and properties with denied violations are re-reviewed for other violations. So we just don't want to let it go just because, hey, maybe the ones we initially selected don't have validity. We go back to see if there's other ones that may have it. Any new properties with less than 3 violations, again, are put on a beyond the lookout list that we review monthly. And then properties may also receive an excessive call for service letter. And some council members have experience with properties getting this excessive call for service. This is when we just notify the property owner that, hey, we're getting a lot of calls for service. Please be aware of that. We want to make sure you're addressing it before it turns into an issue. But oftentimes, we don't have enough evidence to go through the formal process of the warning letter that requires the abatement plan. So letter drafting and editing. Properties that after this review process that still qualify will then receive the appropriate letter. So new properties with 3 violations receive a warning letter, and they have 14 days to give us a written abatement plan. If they don't give us the abatement plan, they're charged $100 a day until they do. Properties that previously received a warning letter will be sent a declared nuisance letter, and will be fined the appropriate amount, which is the first one's $250, then $500, then $750, then $1,000 for each subsequent amount. Properties that fail to submit a written abatement plan will receive that failure letter and be fined $100 a day. So we work with the Division of Assessment and Licenses. Ariel Kolk is very helpful in Division of Assessment and Licenses. She handles our invoices for the nuisance program. She's very good about checking the proper addresses and if the property owner is still the property owner. If hasn't changed since the last time we looked at it.
With your point,
Mr.
Counsel,
Chairman,
I'll put you down.
Okay.
Okay, I'll put you on the list. Go on, keep going.
Thanks. So any nuisance property that qualifies for a fine will have an invoice created by assessment licenses, and that's mailed with the letter. And digital copies of all those invoices are kept as a record for the respective property files. The fines, as I said previously, are listed for 630.01. So the letters are mailed on the first of every month. Prior to being mailed, we verify the property ownership. All letters are digitally saved. We send copies to the clerk of city council and the appropriate district commander, so they are made aware of what properties we've already declared a nuisance here. List of properties that receive letters are kept and maintained. There was a ward change, so the older letters have different ward numbers on them, but Mr. Aston has done a great job of going back and figuring out where they are in the new ward, so we're able to keep tracking them in the same system instead of
Okay,
having
good.
two separate systems. We updated a list of all nuisance properties by the 2026 wards were emailed to the clerk of council, I believe, earlier this week, I think Monday. So all documentation is filed by property address and maintained as a public record within our systems. We also have an internal GIS system, so we could kind of visually see where the nuisance properties are occurring. They're giving us status as a means of classification, and we internally maintain all this data. So the way we identify them for our GIS system is so properties identified with 3 possible violations but have not been reviewed yet. Under review, violations that are currently being reviewed. Be on the lookout, so 1 or 2 qualifying violations, excessive letter sent, warning letter, abatement plan received, declared nuisance, 4 or more violations, and closed. So they're considered a nuisance for 1 year after their last event. When that year is up, the clock is reset. They start fresh, so they have to gather 3 more. Looks like that. Change in ownership. So change in nuisance property ownerships are tracked and verified. If ownership is changed, the property is removed from the list and reset, and all former records and documentation is kept. So the reason we do this, 1, it's a defense in the appeals process that ownership has changed. 2, the purpose of this is to hold the property owner responsible for the activities that occurred while they were owning the property. So if the property owner changed, we're like, okay, you get a fresh start. Make sure that you keep this under control, hopefully. We can't make inferences at this time of whether any nuisance violations caused a change in ownership. But hopefully in the future, with more data, because this program is I think it just reached a year since the new ordinance was passed, and we had amendments to improve it in July of last year. So it's been about a year since we've been working. And Mr. Aston is really a data whiz, so he was able to create this data system and statistics up here. We have averaged about 62 properties are reviewed per month. So those are ones that we see have the actual, may meet the qualifications each month. We have sent 71 warning letters. This is year to date, so since January. Or I have to look at that, but I think it's the total since we started the program in April. But we didn't really start the program in earnest till June and July because we had to set it up. And then there was a period of time because we shifted CAD, computer-aided dispatch systems, where there was an inability to look at historical data. And that was fixed. And once that was fixed, we were able to restart the program. So you may have noticed a period of time where you weren't getting those emails, and that's because we were unable to do the look back period. There's 68 current nuisance properties. Number of 233 total violations. So that would include, properties that have 3 violations, some that have 4, 5. We've received 57 abatement plans, so 84% of the properties that we sent warning letters to, we actually received an abatement plan for. 17 of those were later declared a nuisance. We have properties with more than 3 violations, 21, so 31% of those properties. 3 have changed ownership, so 4%. So each property on this list with the warning letters and declared nuisances, about average of 3.43 violations. So most of them, once they get the warning letter, we do not see any more nuisance activity once they receive the warning letter. So these are your district and ward statistics that are available to you. Each ward averages about 4.5 properties that are an issue, according to us, to our data. About 13 properties per district. Violation statistics, as you can see, are greatest amount, and I printed this way too small for me to read on here. But yeah, what am I going to do? But the violations is your unnecessary noise is the largest, with 60%, following disorderly conduct, intoxication, which goes with some of the bars in the neighborhood. People making a ruckus in the parking lot of these bars that are just on the edge of these neighborhoods. Animal nuisances, so you have your barking dogs that really are disturbing, and then assaults. Now, one thing I would like to note with the noise, so you can see what time the calls come in, and we try to be fair here. So if we get a noise complaint and it's like 1 p.m. or 3 o'clock, we're like, let's be reasonable here. But if the noise is like 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, we're like, well, that's a big issue. People are trying to sleep. And I have young kids, so for me, I would be like anything at 7 o'clock or later, that I'm going to lose my mind. But we try to be reasonable and consider the circumstances, especially with the noise complaints. And that is what we have to present to you.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, there's another one.
Okay.
I knew there was another one. So these are your property types and ownership statistics, which I think you might. The actual majority of the owners are city residents, with 60% being residents of the city. Throughout the state, 17. Out of state, you have 9. I've noticed mostly California and Florida seem to be the out-of-staters. Out of country, 1, but that's Canada. Well, there's one property, but the LLC's in Florida, the actual owner's in Israel. That's a little more complicated.
Right.
But your owner type, so pretty even between homeowner and tenant and rental. It's about even. And then house, LLC owned. So we made a distinction between rental that is a property that is just someone's name and not an LLC versus a rental that is a home that's LLC. And those are pretty even. Apartment complexes and commercial buildings obviously are also LLCs. That's the stats with that. So happy to take any questions here.
I want to thank you for the extensive report that you did. I'm going to say to my colleagues again, this has been a great issue and great concern for me. And from when I co-sponsored the initial piece years ago, and I can't even remember when anymore, it's been so long, I would go around with the previous safety director repeatedly about why the nuisance law was not being enforced. But we became very clear once I had the ability to work with Director Drummond and Assistant Director Shackner, that they did a deep dive at my request and really came forth with some outstanding recommendations and suggestions why it wasn't being enforced adequately and properly. And as a result, we made the changes in the legislation, and I want to thank my colleagues for supporting that. I can't remember when we did the final piece, the last piece we did, but I want to thank them, all of you who were here at the time, for supporting that. So I have a couple questions, and I'm going to open it up for questions of my colleagues. First of all, with regard to the citizens watching this at home, who have the neighbors from hell next door, what is the process that they should undertake? Who should they call?
Through the chair, great question. Obviously, if you're having situations, if it's a non-emergency, you should call the 216-621-1234 number for non-emergency situations. That way we can get that information into our CAT system. Have an officer respond out. Again, if it's a criminal in nature, they'll put that information to the CAT system. So that's it. Obviously, if it's an emergency, 911, and then obviously still we'll have our officers respond.
Okay. So they can call, if you would classify as a non-emergency, the 623-1234.
621.
621, excuse me, 1234. And then if they're raising hell, tearing up the block at night, 911, I'm assuming would be, because that's what I've been recommending people to call, because I am sick and tired of a few families or a few individuals making life miserable on the street. And what I have coined in my own neighborhood is the misery index. I'm prepared to make them miserable, or that property owner miserable, as a result of their tenants or their own activities. On LLCs, which is a big challenge for us today, especially on the east side with the proliferation of LLCs coming into our neighborhood and to the viewing public, limited liability companies that are buying up our properties. We know we're dealing with the fiduciary agent. So explain to us how you're dealing with those.
According to the ordinance, we do mail it to the tax mailing address, and if that returns as not valid, which happens sometimes, we
Yes.
then post it to the address. And there are times we do take the extra step to go to the Secretary of State's website to
good.
determine who the registered agent is,
Good.
and then go through there.
Okay, I appreciate it. I want to make sure that they're not going to get off the hook.
They were fined regardless of whether or not
Good.
we
Okay.
could contact them.
The information, once you indicated there are some properties that have been declared as nuisances, on those that are clearly convenient type stores or any establishment, gas station that has a liquor license, are we sharing that data with the law department?
Sergeant Lanton and Detective Brown are part of this. I forgot the name of the group, but it involves the housing attorneys and
Okay.
code enforcement and things like that. So I'm made aware with the liquor set. The thing is that they already have the information of the actual crimes that are
Yes.
committed. So
Right.
it would having
Okay.
the nuisance declared doesn't really add anything because it's no longer a crime. It used to be a misdemeanor,
Right.
to be declared a nuisance. But since it's not
Okay.
a crime, they already have the criminal activity.
I know they have the criminal activity, but the fact of the matter is, if they have, are they able to determine, because, I've been in liquor hearings, I've lost count how many over the years, and thank goodness, I've been very successful at closing places and or preventing new establishments to come into my neighborhood. But if we can add in a liquor hearing that this has also been declared a nuisance property, would give us additional resources in fighting or trying to close that establishment. Because I try to document everything I can when I go into a hearing. The number of calls, police calls to an address, the number of complaints, the letters that I send out, which I submit as evidence. But anything you can share with our liquor attorneys in the law department as it pertains to nuisance calls would be very helpful.
Through the chair, that's a very good point. We'll
Okay.
make sure that they have that information. That will help the
So I would
case.
request respectfully if we can establish that protocol. And then my last question is this, and I'm opening up for questions. How many has anyone actually had the lien placed on the property yet?
Yes. All right, I have this right here.
Okay.
To the chair. So this happens in September of every year.
Yes.
So when it occurred, we just started the program.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. The amount that was, let's see, I have it in this one. Why is this image not loading?
Take your time.
I could get that to you. I just have to.
Okay. Because as you're looking, what I've come to the realization with landlords, especially absentee landlords, and unfortunately sometimes with our own residents, they don't pay attention until all of a sudden it costs them something. Then you get their attention. So the more times that we can make sure that that nuisance address, if they fail to respond, if they fail to come up with an abatement plan, that they get that fine on their property taxes, then it becomes a whole nother ballgame. And that's when you start getting their attention. And then that's, especially if they're absentee, that's when they're going to lay the law down with their tenants that, no, you're either going to go or you're going to become human and respect the neighborhood.
Right. So
Okay.
it was 5,500 have been assessed to the county. That was 8 properties.
Good.
Since that time, I think 2 had appeals and were granted. So
Okay.
we took it off. And we don't have the full tax numbers from the county, so we can't say what has been paid of that
So
as of yet.
when they appeal the fine or the levy, who do they appeal it to?
To the director.
Directed to me,
director.
yeah. We look at it, and if
Okay.
the problem's abated, and obviously we grant the appeal.
Okay.
And us through the director, just for people's information, we really want to work with
Yeah.
people. So when people
I understand that.
didn't provide an abatement plan and they racked up like $40,000 in fines, and they come to the table as a result of that and then come to an abatement plan, we're willing to work with them on those fines.
Okay, but also, I understand that, but you know why we did this?
Right.
Yeah.
Because some of these addresses have driven people out of the neighborhood.
Exactly. And I can tell you right now, there are $132,450 in open fines.
Okay, so is where I'm at. I play hardball in my
Yeah.
neighborhood
So
because
that-
I'm sick of these people who disrespect our neighborhood, who disrespect our neighbors, and I'm for making it clear: you either respect the community, you pay a fine, you pay the penalty. So, okay, I'm opening up for questions to my honorable colleagues. I have, let me see, Councilman Starr first.
Now, I will be real brief, just for context. When it comes to the nuisance abatement, thank you for this presentation. I think we passed the legislation either in 2024 to some updates that you talked
Okay,
about,
yeah.
Dean, but also just from being able to work with the safety department to be able to address some of these issues, but also just making sure residents understand that reporting helps a lot whenever we're trying to deal with nuisance abatement. We can't say this was just an issue one day and then that's the last time you report it. We like to build a track record, so once the safety director and their team has to actually enforce the law, they can be able to have supporting evidence of what is going on. So for the viewing public and those in the city of Cleveland who are dealing with nuisance issues, not just you and your neighbor don't get along. We could talk to Community Relation Board when you got that type of issue and the reps to help. But when you're talking about just those gambling violations, or you're talking about the animal nuisance, or you're talking about noise and sound, things like that you've seen on this presentation, that is something you have to report and make sure and make it be aware of it and use the numbers that were provided. From a standpoint through the chair, do we have any marketing materials to be able to give out to residents, to be able to use to make sure they understand the differences, or just so they can know what numbers to call, how to do it, to report issues, just so we can make sure most people understand how to actually get this issue resolved? Do we have anything from a marketing standpoint through the chair?
Through the chair to Councilman Stout, we do not, but you bring up a very valid point.
Yeah,
I think our team is available to come out and talk to
Yes.
your community and so forth. But to your point, We do not, but that's something that we can certainly look into, making sure we have documentation or pamphlets or that we can give to council members and the general community as well.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, and from that standpoint, I definitely would like for us to be able to tag team that. Obviously, I want that to be a top thing that we can put out in newsletters. It can be out in different areas where we can also let residents know, like, hey, this is how you deal with nuisance properties, and this is how we work together to be able to hold them accountable.
And
Those
to-
are very important.
And to your point, to the chair, to Councilman Starr, very good point you're bringing up. The commanders in the 5 districts are aware of this program. They actually reached out to Jason, Assistant Director Jason Schachtner, about it and how to apply it and so forth. And the officers assigned to the districts that apply that specifically. So I'm sure that they're conveying that in their community meetings. But to your point again, you're absolutely right. We need to get some documentation, pamphlets, and information that can actually hand to you. You can give to the community members as well.
Thank you.
Yes, and within that marketing material, just from stuff that we talked through budgeting, please include council logo on that material. I think that is very important to show the partnership, the collaborations with dealing with things like that. Other than that, I've continued to see different improvements, and I work with Commander Magooth as well as interim Commander Sean Smith, who I think should be permanent, but that's another conversation
To the chair, if I
offline.
can address that really quick. Through the
Yes.
chair to Councilman Starr. He is right now is conveyed to Councilman Polensek. He was sworn in last week.
Yes.
Come on
as-
now, come
as
on
the,
now. Say that one
commander.
more time.
He was sworn in as the commander of the 4th District. The CPC has to make their recommendation to the mayor, but he was sworn in last week as the interim commander, not acting, but the interim commander.
Okay, thank you. I think he's does a fantastic job in 4th District. He's really enforcing the law and also making sure the morale of the officers in the 4th District is moving in the right direction. So other than that, I just want to say I appreciate the nuisance abatement presentation. I like the way that we are heading, and I support this initiative.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilwoman Nikki Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a request. I appreciate the data you sent over, the breakdown by ward. And my ward, Ward 11, there are 7 properties that have been identified as nuisance properties. Some of them the process was initiated, by me. Some of them happened before my time on council. And so can you provide the status of those properties, including any abatement plan that has been submitted in the past? I have started to receive complaints about some of these properties, as the weather warms up, and in particular related to the stunt driving,
Yes.
drag racing
Yes.
behavior. There are 2 properties in particular that are on this list.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
So I'm interested in following up and
Through the chair to Council Member Hudson, we will get that information to you.
Yes, get that, or any other member who would like that as well.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I would just preface it with the abatement plan, data and storage was a little dirty, quick and dirty in the beginning, so it's better now, but
Okay.
we may not have the previous abatement
Okay.
plans, but we'll get what we have to you.
Thank you.
I just want to know if I need to start the process over for some of these properties, if things haven't been addressed previously. I know that there were supposed to be some parking lot improvements.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Yes,
right.
we know. Yes, through the chair. Wherever, then yes, we'll get you that information.
To,
Thank
to
you.
help, stop this activity, but I've been hearing from residents that it might be picking back up, which makes me think that the parking lot improvements maybe
not help.
didn't happen.
Yep.
I'm also wondering about the process specifically for bars. There is one bar in my ward that is a constant source of complaints. I have encouraged residents to be sure to give the specific address of this bar, because it's not necessarily activity that's happening on the premises, but it's activity of the bar patrons on side streets as they're leaving. So do you have any advice for what I can do related to that? You know, it's bar patrons that, you know, park down the street and, you know, are doing things like,
Yeah,
You're-
through
you're-
the, yeah.
you know, urinating on the
Yeah.
tree lawns. And I mean, this is nuisance activity, but it's not specifically happening on the property premises, but it is related to the operation of the premises.
Through the chair to Council Member Hudson, great point. Part of it, I think, is, and I know you have a great relationship with your commanders out there in the first district. Yeah, part of the, you don't have just second.
I have
that's,
I have first and second.
So I thought so, yeah. So, and not quite sure which bar, which location, what district it is, but I know, again, Moffett Judd in the second district and Woods in the first district. I know you have a good relationship with them, and you're talking about some of the activity taking place away from the bar itself. Please work with them. I know you work with them. That will help. If we can tie the activity directly to the bar, that's part of the nuisance that we're talking about. To help you out, I'd like to talk with you offline about that particular bar, so we can do to assist you to stop that situation over there.
I'd appreciate that.
Any advice to the chair for the residents that are calling in? If they were to, it's important for them to mention that it's coming from that bar and that address. So that's the address within our search that's
Right.
get listed. Because sometimes what the dispatch will do, we'll do the address the person is calling from.
Right.
And that creates a problem. So
Right.
to say this is bar's a problem, this person's coming from the bar doing this,
Right.
that would be how I would phrase
Right.
it.
With a good address, too.
Yes, we need to have the proper
Good
address. That's
address.
correct.
Yes, thank you. And then, you know, related to the out-of-state or out-of-country owners, at what point do you, you know, do you just simply add it to the tax bill without, you know, and just wait for them to get the bill?
We go through the process that is codified. If we don't get return mail as returned undeliverable, we just treat it as they were served. And if they don't respond, the fines get certified to the taxes, property taxes.
They have to go through the same process for every property. There can't be anything different. It's got to be uniform.
And if we do get it returned undeliverable, then we post it to the property. And that is what is codified, and that's considered good service on our part.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Council Lady. Question, now that you really are, yes, you do. Now that we really ramped it up, I want to be, if there's something within the ordinance that you see needs to be tweaked, do not wait to midsummer. Let me know now what that is. Because you're implementing it now, and I appreciate the action that both of you gentlemen have taken, because this is something I have felt, as the director knows, I felt very passionate about for some time. I just want to make sure that if there's any hiccups within the process, we need to be notified, okay? So, Councilman Starr just stepped off where he was on the list there. He just wanted to make sure on gasoline stations, again, service stations, because most of them have liquor licenses too. You're taking the same approach, correct?
Through the chair, all properties. That's
All
correct.
properties?
Yes.
Okay, we want to make sure of that. Okay, Councilman Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I think that we should have a standard hire for our commercial properties. Maybe we can look into that. And here's the reason why is, you know, when we talk about these properties, I got a number of properties in my neighborhood. First, let me just say this. I concur with your giving kudos to the director and assistant director, Josh, right? Jason.
Shackner.
I'm sorry. So let me forgive me. At least it's with a J, right?
There's a couple other names with J, but go ahead.
Okay. So here is one of the things I'm appreciative, because me and Mike Polensik talked about this till we turned blue. I done turned all kinds of colors and flipped across this table a number of times on these kinds of issues because they do impact the city of Cleveland, and it's a cause for a lot of people moving. And so I guess what I would like to know here is I want to work, first of all, take this to a next level to create a brochure so that I can have that brochure. So I would like to set up a time with, is it you, Jason, or is it to the director, so we can work out something where we give some definition to each one of these example violations. You don't have a page number.
Joe, they're
here.
going to put some type of draft together for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
To the chair, the councilman, that's something
Pamphlet,
something we're going to be working
Yeah, I
on.
want to put something together right away because I need to get it out in my neighborhood, and I want to.
We can do that.
Put the mayor, my new commander's face on there, and then I'm gonna put my face because I want them to know these are the people they need to talk to as it relates to dealing with these various different nuances, these violations, and for each one of them, what is the law, what's the violations, a little quick summary of each, and I'm gonna have a little pamphlet, because we want to really make sure our neighbors know, and then also who they can call. And then what is the process by which they can call to make sure that these homes are violations? Because I sat here at this table and I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, to the director previously with commanders, I've had houses that didn't even make it on the list, and they were drug houses. They had fights with their neighbors. The police were called several times. They've had squad cars and everything else around them. Neighbors calling me saying, do you know about this issue over here? And then you guys don't never tell me anything. I have to find out from independent outside sources what's happening in my neighborhood. And so I'm going to tell you, Mr. Chairman, I used to have Commander Mike McGrath, and he'd tell me everything, come to my office and have sessions. And then we had Ralph Valentino. Now I have a new commander now, and we have a good communications, but again, I don't know everything that's going on in my neighborhood. Haven't had a chance to really have a really update on my neighborhood since I was a rookie councilman with hair on my head. And so I would like to get back to that and have a closer niche relationship, and as well as be able to tell you guys where these issues are, and then make sure that they're documented. So I really, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the ordinance and breaking it down and creating this policy and bringing the stats and statistics here, because I think that's very important. And I look forward, Mr. Chairman, and because I don't have no questions, I like what you do, and I want to be able to sit down with you to really fundamentally go over this and really create that piece, one. And then two, who are the main players I need to be talking to make sure that those properties that are nuisance properties, those properties where I'm getting constant phone calls on, is getting to the right people to process that.
To the chair,
Director.
to the chair, we have a team, as Assistant Director Shackner has alluded to before. We have Detective Jasmine Brown, Sergeant Reginald Lanton, Ashton Ian, who is just really tremendous in what he's doing, the work that he's doing to this. If you have, or any council member have problem properties, what we would need is the exact address. We can look in the CAD system to see what type of calls for service, if any, at those particular properties, and based on that, we can, based on the law, to see whether or not they would qualify for a nuisance, criminal nuisance property. But we have a team. You can get that information to me, and I'll get to my team to take a look at that.
Right, and then, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I appreciate that. And I have a gas station and a bar. Now, I've sent videos in, so where it's been tearing up the neighborhood. So, even though the bar is on this side, you know what I'm talking about, and the gas station on this side, I want both of them cited because I'd already told the owner of the gas station to put no parking signs up. And once he put those no parking signs up for his customers only, we'll work with him. Then that gives us the ability to work with him to have those cars towed. And that still has not yet happened. So he's culpable in the disturbance of our neighborhood because we're talking about, we're not, Jason, you talked earlier about the cars being in the driveway with loud music. Well, we have these cars, and I don't understand, why someone would spend such a great amount of money to put these super woofers in their cars and make the cars, they're so loud that the car is bouncing on the vibration of the sound alone. And then they have all these speakers in the doors. They open up their doors. They got speakers. They got neon lights running up under the boards, neon lights everywhere. I mean, you can't miss them because they're like, we're here, ha ha. And the noise is so loud. And we've complained and complained and complained with no relief. And so, you know, Mr. Chairman, I really need help. I don't want that to happen again this summer because this negative impact is disruptive to our community. And it's right down the street, Mr. Chairman, from a $100 million possible development that we're trying to build in the Lee Harvard area. So we really want to quiet that zone down. So
Thank
I just wanted to put that on your radar screen, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, to the safety director.
Gotcha.
And then ending it in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to engaging you guys as soon as possible. When can we get together so we can put the piece together?
Through the chair,
Thank you.
we can get together, we'll look at our calendars and get together as soon as
Okay.
possible.
Right,
Okay.
I want to try to do this hopefully within the next 30 days.
Through the chair, we can do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can, because we're all putting newsletters together, something that we could put in rate, you know, I don't want to say short and sweet, but something that indicates what the nuisance law is briefly and how citizens can file a complaint or turn in a complaint, what they should do, and maybe some areas within that as to what would qualify as a nuisance. So again, I want to thank
My team is, as we're speaking,
Yes.
my team is already just
Good.
let us know that they're starting to work on
Okay.
it as we speak. So
Again, I want to thank the director and for the assistant director for listening to my pleas and my concerns as it pertains to why the nuisance law was not being enforced in the city. And we work together on this. That's important because we're all in this together. At the end of the day, we want our neighborhoods to be a better place, quality of life. And in some neighborhoods, the quality of life has either disappeared or has diminished substantially, and we got to bring it back. So again, without any further questioning at the table, I want to thank my colleagues for being here. I want to thank the director and assistant director for their presentation. Committee of Public Safety Committee for Cleveland City Council stands adjourned. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.